Of course, the headline on the front page of the Australian says it all. We have listened. PM recognises diggers' toll. That's the headline. Scott Morrison has launched a wide-ranging Royal Commission into veteran suicides, examining the human cost of defence services, including transition to civilian life, family pressures, welfare services and further employment prospects. Now, Ollie, we also might go to the front of the Telegraph as well, because it too puts a very human face on this particular story, and that is justice for Bradley. He suicided on Anzac Day. Now Scott Morrison has delivered veteran Bradley Carr suicided on Anzac Day in the most harrowing of statements about the fate of troubled war heroes. But yesterday the Prime Minister acted to establish a Royal Commission into hundreds of similar deaths. Good news, Oliver.
Yeah, required, isn't it, Gleeson? And you go back to somebody as brave as Julianne Finney, of course, now 2 years, 2 months ago, lost her then 38-year-old son, David, who had served in the Middle East and Timor for 20 years. And he took his own life while waiting for about 6 months for help with PTSD and suffering, obviously, some mental health demons. I think that really shone the light, and obviously more than 400,000 Australians signed her change.org petition, and it's really been through that work that she has done, shoulder to shoulder with the News Limited papers as well, Gleeson. I know Alan Jones has been hot to trot on this now for many, many years, that we heard those words uttered from the Prime Minister today, that terms of reference would be established, and that'll take a few weeks with consultation. It obviously doesn't bring anybody back, but even as Julianne Finney said to me this afternoon on my program, this is about trying to prevent this happening for any other family going forward, or just have a greater understanding. So the rates of suicide, as we know, amongst our returning veterans is higher than in any other field or industry than in Australia. So that shines a light. It's something that we can't cover up. It's something that we need to confront head on, as difficult and as challenging as it is. As you say, Gleeson, this is some good news today that this Royal Commission's expected to run for about 2 years, but very well covered, obviously, in tomorrow's newspapers, as it should be.
The front page of the Courier Mail, gee, this is a big story. Gabba Games is the exclusive here by Jess Marzalay. $1 billion redevelopment of the Gabba will form the centrepiece of Queensland's bid to host the 2032 Olympics and Paralympic Games. State Cabinet has signed off on the plan to transform the Gabba into a 50,000-seat state-of-the-art stadium to host the athletics and opening and closing ceremonies if our bid is successful in July. Now, of course, that puts to rest, Ollie, talk that the opening and closing ceremony, the major games infrastructure would be at the Albion Park Harness and Greyhound track. Of course, they will be moving anyway because they have alternative arrangements in place. But I think a lot of nervous residents around that Hamilton, Ascot, Albion area will breathe a sigh of relief tomorrow morning.
I'll tell you what, this investment into upgrading and redeveloping the Gabba, it is long overdue. It is the junkyard of Australian stadiums. And every time Queenslanders and people like you in particular, Gleeson, have a whinge about Optus Stadium here in Perth pinching a test match and the Indians deciding to play in Perth instead of the Gabba, you only have yourselves to blame. We have that $1 billion stadium here in Perth. It is state-of-the-art. The bells and whistles, which we saw again displayed on Friday Night Football as the Eagles thumped the Collingwood Pies, was just fantastic. And you build it and people come. We've had Origin here the last couple of years, Bledisloe Cup, and it's coming back again this year. It is a state-of-the-art amphitheatre. I cannot speak highly enough for our taxpayer-funded $1 billion stadium here in Perth. And the Gabba, I don't mind saying it happily. You've said it a few times now. It's a junkyard. It's awful. The only good thing about the Gabba ground, Gleeson, is when you go over the road to the German club and you get stuck into a stein and a pork knuckle at lunch.